Okay, so drivers. Before we move to the presentation part, I will simply show you how to add the driver. Basically, we have to select the object and hover your mouse over the property you want to add the driver. Just right click on it and select add driver. It shows the pop-up menu when we can edit our variables, but in our case it won't be needed, so we can simply delete it. And in the expression tab, we can edit our expression. I will show you in the presentation part what kind of math expression we can use and what kind of result we can achieve with them. Okay, so let's move to the presentation part. I prepared for you some objects to show what kind of math expression we can use and what are the results we can achieve with them. Basically, I add the drivers to their Z location. When I start the timeline, we will see what is going on. So basically, here we have sine. Sine is going from -1 to 1. Sine squared goes from 0 to 1. Asyn is basically the same like sin, but with the linear motion. Like you see in the sine example, there is easing in and easing out. Tan is going from 0 to 10 and nextly appear at -10 and loops himself. It's very, very useful for rapid motion like blinking or something like that. Cos just start at 1 instead of 0 and acos goes from 0 to 3. Prime divided by 10 means basically speed. The higher the number, the slower the movement. That's how you can manipulate it. In the left side of the screen, you will see those expressions that I assigned to those drivers. You can just simply copy and paste them to your own object. Now I will show you some really useful cases. So basically, the first one is just looping texture. Like you see, we can add those expression in the shading tab to the value with mapping. And basically right click on those property and add the driver like I did. And it makes those looping effect. Scrolling the texture in the X is really useful in the visual effects. Nextly we have bloom effect, like popping out lights or something like that when you see on the lights on the road or similar stuff. It's basically the same, but we can use map range to remap the range of that sign. Since we know sign goes from -1 to 1, we can remap those numbers to, in our case, 0 to 25. And last, the most important and useful case for you would be the movement. Imagine that you would like to have this kind of motion for many of the objects. You would have to manually set up all the keyframes, and that can take some time. Instead of that, you can just set up one driver and copy that driver with the expression you want to the other objects. This is really, really useful, and you can assign those drivers with the expression to any of the property. You can assign it to the rotation, scale, like dimension. You can set up the value that manipulate the contrast of the texture. You can make those blinking effect. Like there is endless possibilities, I think. But those I mentioned before are the most common one, I think. So that's it for this quick tutorial. I hope you enjoyed that and see you in the next one.